I made it. Oh my God, I made it. I'm here live, guys, for the culture. Thank you for tuning in. Uh, Yesterday, I I had my first episode, and I felt like I was well. I am really sick. I just got over bronchitis here in Poland. I'm broadcasting here from Warsaw, um, literally a couple blocks away from the Ukrainian embassy, several other embassies right close to me. I'm probably like if we were in Manhattan, I'm like five stops towards like Grand Central Station, and that's the center of Warsaw. So I'm in a great location, having a lot of fun. The first week was really cool, but second week this is my third week here. My second week I was really sick, dealing with bronchitis. I couldn't breathe. I had to get like some breathing treatments and a whole bunch of other medicines, and yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So, and then I did my first broadcast yesterday, and I streamed it out to you guys. Thank you for those guys that watched. I appreciate it. It was great. I appreciate you guys watching. I sounded like I was underwater. I hate my voice. I guess most people don't like hearing themselves and doing this stuff. I am trying to break through that. I am having my lunch right along. Having my lunch, and I'm gonna be doing some chewing on the microphone a little bit because I'm starving. So those that are tuning in live right now on my YouTube channel, welcome. Thank you. Those on Instagram, you can check me out at the Culture with Jabes Prado. Uh, the Culture with Jabes Prado uh, at the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please go there, support. We're gonna be selling some merch pretty soon. Our merch product is gonna be saying the culture with different designs, hoodies, hats. That will support the channel. So when we go to travel uh, in Europe, because we plan on going to different locations. We plan on going to Germany. We'll be in Germany. We'll be in Berlin. This weekend we'll be in Gdansk. That's north of the Baltic Seas. We're gonna be up there hanging out with a few DJs and a few club goers, doing some interviews. And one of the most popular DJs right now in Warsaw, that's bringing Afrobeat. He's bringing reggaeton. He's bringing salsa. He's bringing merengue. And the culture, I mean, to have all that type of music in Warsaw, and then like the clubs, I'm telling you, like here, uh, it is the clubs here are amazing. The clubs here are big, but they're listening to a lot of Latino music. A lot of Latino music. They listen to a lot of African Afro beats, and it's they love it, bro. And I love that aspect of Poland, and that they're very open to different cultures. So yeah, man, I'm excited to bring you that footage and talk to a few DJs and a few people where we're gonna be chilling. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be popping. It's gonna be a good time. So not only that, this show today, uh, I love to talk about politics and what's going on at home and what's going on around the world. So, and if you guys on YouTube right now watching me, I am turning over to my right hand side where I have my my live Instagram going on. So you can watch me there, but you're not going to be able to watch my clips and my reactions from my clips unless you are on my YouTube channel. So I haven't still figured out how to throw these on yet onto Instagram as I'm doing the show. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Earlier, I was on Instagram doing my prepping for the show, and explaining to people where, it takes about an hour to get everything ready, to get everything moving, especially doing it by yourself, uh, getting the uh, sound checks, make sure the clips are going over, and you got to at least try and do about 4 or 5 sound checks, 3 sound checks. You, those that have bigger studios, that have bigger productions, I'm sure they get one sound check and then it's awesome. They get ready to go. We're trying to get there. Um, we're trying to get into a bigger location where I've been looking around. I get a little nervous still doing this stuff, but you're gonna hear a lot of ums from me, unfortunately, and I'm trying to regulate that. And I'm also my last show I did yesterday, I was doing a lot of cursing, so I apologize, Mom. I heard about that. It came back to me, and I was a little stressed out about you know uh, a group named the Proud Boys and their leader, which is a Cuban American, and some of these neo Nazis that are out here uh, in our country that are from Latino descent, Mexican descent, Nick Fuentes. You guys, these people are. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But that was to hear more about my opinions on that. You can listen to the podcast I did yesterday on my YouTube page. And if you want to hear more about it, you can go check it out there. So, also moving on, I got my little pita bread that I'm eating. I had some avocado, and that was really, 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 really good. Um, and I am on the mercy of my slow internet in Poland. Maybe sometimes you don't know if you're gonna have issues out here. We are like I said, you're looking for a different location where I won't have any difficulties with internet, and I can get. I'm actually we having a bigger production where we're gonna have some more help. So, yeah, could be good. This stuff is amazing. It's called, well, it's Polish, of course, but it's really good. I'm I'm eating. I'm drinking my Arabic coffee, which is amazing. It smells great. Um, Sorry if I look like a pig, but I'm starving. This stuff here is called pastits here. That's what it looks like, and it's pretty good. It's like some meat, and oh, it reminds me of American Spam. It's their spam. I'll show you guys what I'm eating right now on my podcast is some Popolski spam. That's what I call it and what they call it. They're like, oh, it's absolutely unhealthy for you, but it's so good. You can have one once a month, something like that. But yeah, no, I love it. It's good. I'm having some coffee. You guys on Instagram, you can catch me on the Kulture with Jabes Prado. The access is onto my Instagram. You can check me out live right now and watch the videos that I'm broadcasting in. Welcome to my makeshift studio. I showed you guys last time. Let me see. I'll show you a little bit more of how it looks like now. Uh, we have about a couple different uh, cameras going on and computers going on and whatever. But we are looking for another location. So, if you're following me on YouTube, welcome. Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers to you. And I am basically just starting the show right now. And yeah, it's going so far so good. Yesterday's show definitely sounded like I was underwater. No question. I was a little angry probably too. And not only a little angry, I was beasting actually yesterday. I was beasting a little bit on my first show, on my first broadcast. Maybe because I still had the flu, as you might be able to hear, hear it in me now that I'm a little, oh, whoa, that I'm under the weather, you know, uh, right now. But I'm feeling better. I am feeling better, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about today's show. Well, we're gonna be hitting some serious topics, and the where I've been here in Poland for 3 weeks, but this is my fifth time back in Poland. Oh, I'm lying, fourth time. What? And I've been here 4 times. The first time it was to help the Ukrainians, refugees, and I was, helping Ukrainian refugees, and it was an amazing experience. And seeing how desperate the mothers and grandmothers and children were made me want to come and lend a hand as much and see what I can do. As I stood on the ground longer and longer, I started learning more and more about the government of Ukraine, and doing my research and talking to soldiers, talking to citizens, men that are fleeing the war. Also, talk to mothers that have men in the war. Uh, I started getting a better perspective for myself. And not only that, learning about the money that we sent over, or the money that is being sent over to Ukraine. U.S. money, which I've, being underground, noticed that it didn't trickle down to the people, right? In Poland or in Warsaw and Krakow, where the Ukrainians were desperately trying to get out and figure out what their lives as their homes are being bombed. Meanwhile, the new Zelensky government that's there is trying to push out the oligarchs that was already down with Putin. So of course, Putin's gonna back up his Ukrainian counterparts that were on Donbass, Donetsk, Mariupol region, and also be uh he was also be like, yo, trying to help them out. So Ukraine's got wheat. I started understanding that the the wheat production in Ukraine is like the top in one of the top in the world, right? So somebody's gonna have to get some of that money. Um, so good. So what's really going on in Ukraine? I have a great Ukrainian best friend, two of them actually. I've asked them why they don't want to go to the war. They're like, why? It's all corrupt. Corrupt. what was going on before Zelensky got in there and Zelensky boys wanted to push people around. Now they getting our cash flow. Our cash flow. Listen, my best friend, White Snoop. He's dope, man. I love this guy, but he's even told me about how some people be acting. Some Ukrainians act like a lot of entitlement, a lot of hustling. You know, these people have corruption going on deep, getting money in Poland, getting money from the U.S. You know, crime foul, but like these people, some of these people were doing some real heavy corrupt, having their hands deep in some some stuff. But we're gonna listen about it. We're gonna hear about it. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna see what's going on with that. Uh, I have I've been there. I'm going back soon, and I will be interviewing some people in Ukraine. And uh, I also plan on heading to Gaza. To if I can help rebuild for a couple weeks and clean up there. I want to do that. I'm looking forward to do that. So, thank you guys again for the support. Now, if you really want to help out the show, our tickets are to travel to different locations in Europe are very, are not that are expensive, but it's costly when we want to go to different So if you want to support the show and you want to looking forward to see me and different spots talking to different people as far as restaurants, having a couple few beers with a few strangers. You guys know how I do. I'm not scared to walk into places and have a pub at a pub somewhere and have a beer with somebody and put it on camera. So if you're interested supporting the team, buying some merch, get at me at Jabes Prado at gmail.com, or you guys can see on my Facebook that there is my our Venmo and Cash App. So please go support if you like to do that. So yeah, so we will be going soon, actually, to Ukraine in a couple weeks. Then we got invited to a party, so and a celebration there. So we will be going to some type of event, and I'll be broadcasting from there. So let's get to some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Gaza ceasefire, ladies and gentlemen, and a very fragile ceasefire going on right now. Uh, Biden's team, Trump's team was able to negotiate together alongside Qatar, to uh, get a ceasefire going on. Woohoo! Um, I feel like it's a little too late. It's unfortunate it took this long. It's unfortunate what happened to both sides of the war. But the genocidal, idealistical people, the Zionist movement of Israel is horrific. Netanyahu is not a good person. Netanyahu is not a good person, people. Netanyahu is a problem. He is a war criminal now, considered by The Hague. So he needs to be brought to justice. But a lot of guys do. A lot of these guys do. And it's unfortunate that we can't go and arrest this guy. 45,000 people dead, children included in that. Women and children. 45,000 people dead. How do you justify that? You can't. You can't justify that. 45,000 people dead. Uh, how do you justify something like that, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. A lot of children dead. Pray for their families. Pray for their healths and pray for their safeties. Right. So, Lord. Okay. So here's a little clip. We're gonna have a little reaction with me. Let's see what's going on in Gaza right now as we are checking out. We hope that this. I hope that this treaty, this peace treaty ceasefire holds. It needs to hold. You've seen the city. Gaza is destroyed. It is nothing but dust and rubble there. Uh, there is seems like there's nothing left for these people. So I am like, no matter how you see it, it's destruction. It's sad, and here we go.
Helping secure the deal. With just days to go before he leaves office, President Biden tonight gave details of the ceasefire, which begins on Sunday.
Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly
Right now,
and the wounded.
you guys
In
can tune
exchange,
in
Israel
to
released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. And during phase 1, the Palestinians can also return to their neighborhoods in all the areas of Gaza.
So there are 3 phases to this deal. 33 hostages will be released during the first 6 weeks. Among them, 2 Americans. Humanitarian aid will go in. Phase 2 will be negotiations for a permanent end to the war. Hostages and prisoners will continue to be released. Once that's done, phase 3 will see all the rest of the hostages released, as well as the remains of those who have died. And finally, a permanent ceasefire agreed. Our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, is in Jerusalem. And Jeremy, a huge moment after so many months of war.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare for all concerned, of course. And among some of the terrible consequences of what's happened have been as strong, and polls have shown this, a sense of dehumanization on both sides. A feeling among Israelis that because of everything that Hamas did on the 7th of October, how could they ever have peace with Palestinians? And a feeling among many Palestinians that how could they ever have peace with Israelis after everything Israel has done since the 7th of October 2023. A ceasefire like this obviously is going to be fragile, and there are more negotiations ahead. It is not going to be easy. It might well be difficult. I've spoken to senior Western diplomats who fear that after the first phase, the 42-day phase 1, that maybe the war might even resume. But of course, on a day like this, there has...
Right. So the first phase is release the old people and the injured. And this shit is crazy. What's crazy is that they're going to wait 45 days in between after the first phase to do the second phase, which makes no sense to me. You know? That makes no sense to me. 45 the whole days to release soldiers and the rest of the young people that aren't injured or whoever else that they're holding. And say fighting might resume after that. So, 100% I'm not confident. Sorry, chewing you guys' ear. 100% I'm not confident in any of these people's stuff, man. I'm trying to be optimistic about it, but I don't think this war is going to end like this. This stuff is so good. Okay, let's continue on. I'm not going to do the whole 30 minutes of this crap because it's depressing. I'm going to move on to other things. But for right now, this is the latest.
Has to be enormous relief on both sides.
Yeah,
In the streets of Khan Yunis in Gaza,
let's
overwhelming relief that they are
Peace.
alive, and hope too
Peace.
that the nightmare of this war might be over.
Lord. Oh.
Słaby angielski blokuje rozwój twojej
sorry,
kariery?
folks.
Dołącz do bezpłatnych
celebrating-
5-dniowych warsztatów z Business
They're
English.
celebrating life right now because so many of them died.
When they announced that there is a ceasefire, we felt happy and relieved. The pain has disappeared a bit, even though the pain is still present. But hopefully, joy
Right.
will overcome the pain. Let our prisoners
Oh my
get free
God.
and for the injured to get treated. People are exhausted.
Right. Right.
Some weapons, some defiance were on show, but Hamas is a shadow of what it was when it attacked Israel on the 7th of October 2023. And apart from survival, there isn't much to celebrate for Palestinians in Gaza.
It is.
Israel has killed almost 50,000 people at least. The territory is in ruins,
At least
and well over 2
50,000.
million have been forced out of their homes. And in Tel Aviv, it is also a bittersweet moment for the families and supporters of Israeli hostages, living and dead. 33 women, older men, and the sick and wounded are due for release in the next 6 weeks, in return for hundreds of Palestinian detainees and prisoners. But the future of the rest of the hostages depends on more negotiations.
Dude, 50,000 of them. 50.
Side and really wait for this very, very needed thing to happen, for the war to stop, for the hostages to come home.
Israel's president said the ceasefire was right, important, and necessary.
There is no greater moral, human, Jewish or Israeli obligation than to bring our sons and daughters back to us, whether to recover at home or to be laid to rest.
The war started on the 7th of October 2023 with a devastating series of surprise attacks by Hamas. It was one of the worst intelligence and security failures in Israel's history. A painful inquiry into who missed the signs it was coming, starting with the Prime Minister, lies ahead. 251 people were taken into Gaza as hostages. Hamas killed around 1,200, mostly Israeli civilians in their own homes. It took days to recover the bodies. Israel responded by hammering Gaza and its people from then until today. It insists
what
it
happened.
respects the laws of war. It says Hamas caused so many civilian casualties, wounded and dead, by using them as human shields. But Israel's Prime Minister and former Defense Minister face arrest warrants for war crimes. And the International Court of Justice is investigating a case accusing Israel of genocide. In Washington, President Biden took
Exactly
credit
what
for
happened.
diplomatic victory, celebrated America's support for Israel, and said the war had transformed.
My people, genocide right in our times. We witnessed genocide. That's exactly what it was. Now, if you were at my show, if you see my show at YouTube, you'll know what I'm talking about. So go back and check it out, The Culture with Jabes Prado. Yeah, that's genocide for sure. 50,000 people dead. They're talking about even still going. They're talking about still, after this first phase of the ceasefire, they're still talking about, okay, for those that are just tuning in, right? We are discussing the Gaza ceasefire right now. And people are watching on my YouTube. We're broadcasting on my YouTube channel, The Culture with Jabes Prado. For those that don't know that I have a YouTube channel going on right now, we are broadcasting there, and we are discussing different topics today. Most of the topics today we're talking about are the ceasefire. We're talking about Ukrainian corruption, the draft dodging that's going on in Ukraine. We're also talking about the TikTok ban, right? But right now we're on Gaza, and we're just starting out. We're about 20, 30, about a half an hour into the show now. And this is my second episode. My second episode that I've been shooting here. And hopefully today I don't sound like I'm swimming underwater. But I'm excited to be doing this kind of stuff. We're going to be different locations. We're going to go to different countries in Europe, film there, broadcast there, meet different people, interview different people. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good time. But now, yeah, we took a break for a second on the ceasefire. We're going to hear Biden right now talk on the ceasefire, which was bought by bipartisan group in Washington, the Trump transitional team and the Biden leaving team. But they were talking together. But also, Trump is taking credit. Trump is taking credit for it. He is saying, I watched him threat about 3 or 4 days ago. They said they better get something done before January 20th, or he's about to let some hell rain loose on Hamas. So I think they took him seriously, and also the bipartisan team seriously, when they said that, yeah, this guy's going to be a problem for you when he comes into office, and he might send a lot more than what Israeli just did to 50,000 people. Man, that's so scary. That is so scary, bros. Like, and brothers and sisters, like, to imagine like this man has the power to be like, yo, there's already 50,000 people dead, but we don't care. We're gonna come and even give you more hell, and that means civilians dying. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it takes, they don't care that these guys are just hiding behind some certain hospitals and peoples and babies. It's nuts. Softer when it's warm and heated up. All right, here we go.
Form the Middle East for the better.
This has been time of real turmoil in the Middle East. But as I prepare to leave office, our friends are strong, our enemies are weak, and there's a genuine opportunities for a new future. In Lebanon, there's an opportunity for a future, free from the grip of Hezbollah. In Syria, a future free from the tyranny of Assad. And for the Palestinian people, a credible pathway to a state of their own. Thank you.
Brooks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
But Donald Trump's pressure on Israel as well as Hamas to seal the deal before his return to the White House next week might have made a decisive difference. Joe Biden put the ceasefire plan on the table last May. With Gaza in ruins, the president's point that the Palestinians have a path to their own state is wishful thinking. Israel's government says security depends on military power, not allowing Palestinian independence. After 15 months of war in Gaza, the conflict, which has lasted more than a century, is as bitter and intractable as ever. With luck, the ceasefire will end this war. It does not end the conflict. The consequences of so much destruction and death will be felt for a generation at least. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Wow, bro. A generation is going to feel that. A generation is going to feel that, guys. How can you rebuild from that? It's going to take billions and trillions of dollars to get their economy. Like, their economy doesn't even have a chance right now. Anywhere, like in the world, anyway, right now. It's a pile of dust. somewhere I did read that this was a plan anyway. They were itching for a reason to lay out Gaza. They want to do another canal. Easier way to make more money bringing ships. Not the Suez Canal that runs through there. Yeah, the Suez, but they wanted to make. I believe it's the Suez. Somewhere else that I read that they wanted to do an attachment to a canal, make a canal somewhere there, and there's a project that needs to go through Gaza in order to be successful. So, guys, go look into this stuff, man. I'm telling you, as it's 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 just connecting dots. It's connecting the dots to these rich these rich people, man. These people that got money, and you know, right now the way of the world is capital. If you don't know, if you don't have the awareness to know that right now in the world it's a capitalist way of thinking. It's nothing but it's like, how can I get a bag? How can I get the bag? How can I get the bag? Bigger bag, bigger bag, bigger bag, bigger bag. And these guys do it at a scale that most of us, 80, I would say 95% of us, can't even fathom, you know? Remember, they say like the top 2% owns everything here in the world, right? There's so many trillionaires, you know, family money going around. All right. Anyway, let's go on to because this shit gets me depressed. There is a group. So this is proof for me to show you guys that the Zionist group, you know, it's not only that Israel has. I mean, I'm a man of God. I stand with you know, peace and love. You know, if Christians go to Israel and talk about Christ, you get yelled at, you get beat up, you get harassed. They don't like us. I'm sorry. It's true. They're not into Christianity in Israel. You know, they do not believe that the Messiah has come and was crucified and risen again from the dead and said he will return. They don't believe in the Old Testament prophecies. They don't believe that, you know, Christ was the Messiah. So if you go to Israel and you talk about these type of things, you'll be persecuted as Jesus said you would be in his name. So, but these people, like Palestinians, are also Semitic as Jewish people. I don't know if some of you guys don't know this shit. I know this shit. They're all Semitic people. So if you're being anti-Semitic, you're being anti-Semitic to the Palestinians by killing them off, 50,000 of them, and not supporting to stop the war. That's it. That's it. You know, in my opinion, the Zionist people that you'll see right now are men that are from America. Most of them are American males from New York or somewhere else in our country, and they think they can go and take people's lands and shoot people and harass Palestinian homeowners and landowners and then take over their land. The people that are mad about this are the ones that know they're going to lose settlement, they're going to lose land that they've taken illegally. We all know that Israel's been taking settlements and land since the 70s illegally. They need a two-state solution. It has to happen already, or there's gonna be. There's never gonna be peace in the Middle East. It's written in the good book. There's never gonna be peace. It's never gonna happen. Never gonna happen till the good Lord comes. Sorry to say. Middle East peace is never gonna be a thing. You know, it's been centuries, guys. Centuries. It's been going on. It's never gonna stop. I pray it's gonna stop. I pray Christ comes and hurry up, please. And I gotta face my own BS stuff when he does. So clean it up, people. This war stuff, these kids dying, us just acting crazy. Some of us, it gets to my nerves sometimes. I get myself all worked up here, and my blood pressure up. All right, let's watch these Zionists act crazy and think that think they have some right to settlement that they stolen.
In West Jerusalem to protest against the ceasefire deal. Bereaved families of Israeli forces in Gaza are among those demonstrating. They're calling on the government to abandon the deal, calling it a surrender. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has released a statement on the ceasefire deal. It reads, Hamas has reneged on parts of the agreement reached with the mediators and Israel in an effort to extort last-minute concessions. The Israeli cabinet, it says, will not convene until the mediators notify Israel that Hamas has accepted all elements of the agreement. Well, Hamas, meanwhile, has released a statement saying it's committed to the ceasefire deal announced by the mediators in Qatar on Wednesday.
This dude wants any
Al Jazeera's
reason.
Hamda Sahib now is joining us from Amman,
any...
Jordan, because Israel's government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting from Israel and the occupied West Bank.
They sure did.
The Prime Minister's office, Israeli Prime Minister's office, Hamda.
Netanyahu is doing everything he can. Everything he can. He's doing everything he can to basically keep this war going. He's doing everything he can, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't understand. This man wants pure destruction all the time. And he's a criminal. Anything to take away from the bullshit, because he's being tried for corruption himself in Israel. So the more he got this going on, it's a delay on his corruption trial. All these guys are weird. All these guys are corrupt. We need to figure this out, y'all. We need to come together somehow and figure this shit out. Because these people are just going to just keep taking and taking and taking for themselves. For themselves. That's all they care about. They're not doing it for their people. They're not doing it for... it's just to fatten up their pockets. We're going to talk about corruption everywhere. But this guy is one of the most corrupt guys. Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the most corrupt guys I've ever researched, read about. It's horrible. You people gotta help me here. Oh, you people gotta help me. All right, let's see. Let's keep going here with the Zionist genocidal group.
Talking about a last-minute crisis that's preventing the signing of the agreement. What exactly is this crisis?
Yeah, right. What is it? They don't even know.
Well, according to the Prime Minister's office, they say this crisis is solely because of Hamas saying that they're backtracking on parts of the agreement, looking to exploit the agreement, and Israeli media reported that some of it
U.S.
is due
isn't
to
saying
the
that.
names
United
of
States ain't
Palestinian
coming out saying
prisoners who
that.
would be released from Israeli jails. But let's remember that Hamas released a statement shortly after saying that they remain committed to the deal that was that was announced on Wednesday evening. But it's also worth mentioning this comes amid the backdrop of a lot of internal conflict in the Israeli government. And some Israeli media this morning is reading into it as a crisis internally within the government rather than any sort of crisis with Hamas at all. Let's remember that there are members of the far right who said that they would leave the coalition, they would topple the government if Israel entered into a deal that they classified as, quote, bad. And that's exactly what's happening. Bezalel Smotrich and his party, Religious Zionism, have been holding factions meeting throughout the morning and early afternoon on Thursday, deciding what the fate of the government is going to be. Smotrich.
Wow. Debate of the government of Israel? Is it what they're talking about? Because the Israeli president, let's go back here for a second. The Israeli president just came out and said that anything for the peace, right? To get Jewish hostages back, Jewish soldiers back, so they can bury them. And now, a couple hours ago now, we got Netanyahu saying no, they're not agreeing part of the blah blah blah. But the U.S. ain't saying that, and the president didn't come out and say that. This dude is a warmongering gorilla asshole donkey, and we are. I don't know why. Oh, because he has some generals, other donkeys. Now what? I'm hearing that they're gonna be is there gonna be a civil war in Israel? Maybe, because they can't get their shit together on either side in their own parties. Oh, reminds you of anybody, guys? Reminds you of anybody that does it remind you of anything? Us? Maybe a little bit? Oh my fuck. Like
The government if Israel entered into a deal that they classified as, quote, bad. And that's exactly what's happening. Bezalel Smotrich and his party, Religious Zionism, have been holding factions meeting throughout the morning and early afternoon on Thursday, deciding what the fate of the government is going to be. Smotrich had said last night on Wednesday that he's going to need a guarantee from Netanyahu that Israel will go back to full-scale war after the initial phase of this deal, meaning that they're not interested in this going to phase 2 or 3 and ultimately an end to the conflict altogether. So that's what's going on in Israel. This security cabinet vote has been delayed. Netanyahu's office says it's because of Hamas, but according to what we're reading and what we're seeing within the Israeli government, it's because of internal quarreling within the coalition.
Hamda, thank you very much for bringing us the latest day. Hamda Salhout in Amman.
Yo, this dude's a bro. Make sure y'all just heard it. Now y'all just heard it. Internal fussing in Gaza. I mean, in Israel. Internal problems in Israel. That's what's going on. You guys hear it for yourself right there. Internal problems in Gaza. Netanyahu is fighting with his people because he wants to continue the war here. And because Biden and the transitional team has made a deal with Hamas, and he has nothing. He's just an animal, bro. A real animal. That Netanyahu. It's disgusting. Anyway, support Palestinians as much as you can, please. Please put your support behind them. I pray for the Israeli families to get their families members back and their friends back safely. Pray for peace, though I think is unlikely in our times or in my time that there will be peace in Israel. I don't think it's ever going to really pop off. I really don't think it's going to happen. Though I want it to happen, trust me, I want peace in Israel, in the Middle East. As everybody, as cliche and as corny as it sounds, man. But, you know, here we are, man, 2025. Still at war. Still people dying. Still can't get governments together to come to a table and feed people, clothe people, come up with cures for cancer, come up with cures for Alzheimer's and dementia. What is, just the necessary things, man. Just the small little necessary things for life to prosper. Keeping your mind and your shit together, dealing with mental health. Yeah, that's good. Oh, yeah, that's good. Good. It's good. Yeah, I'm going to try to bring you guys into some great places here real soon. All right, moving right along to our next segment of the podcast where, the next segment of the podcast, folks, where we'll be discussing more corruption, not only corruption, but what is going on in Ukraine. What is going on in Ukraine? I want to know. I have my friends, I have a Ukrainian best friend, and he tells me all the time about Kudva, the corruption, why he didn't want to go for fighting the war in Ukraine. I was concerned, being that he's a fighting age, healthy, and why? I got his best friend that he grew up with also not fighting in the war. And this is not to shit on these guys because they're beautiful human beings. But then I'm like, he's like, yeah, the corruption. And I'm like, yeah, there's corruption everywhere. But, there is a war and there's community and there's people dying, And they feel like, why should they be maimed, or my mom losing her only son to a war of corruption? And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. We went to war for less than that shit. We went to war and killed Saddam Hussein for lies that Bush told about weapons of mass destruction. When yes, we lost people in 9/11, but we didn't. They were all Saudis. Not one was our Iraqi. We didn't go to Saudi Arabia and fight the war and burn up their oil fields there. Wonder why. Ah, man, I think they think we're really so blind and stupid, bro. Seriously. It's crazy. But the U.S. has spent billions of dollars in Ukraine. I've spoken to some soldiers that have fought Americans that fought in Ukraine, and they're saying the checks are rolling in for them. Not only that Americans think that the Ukrainians are getting some direct money. From what I hear, they're getting some old weapons and we're getting the new weapons, and we're using the money that we are saying, or the news are saying, that money that they say is for Ukraine It's just in weapons, in bombs and missiles. It's not gold or cash. And then we're taking the cash from our vaults and making new weapons to replenish the ones that we are giving to Ukraine. According to some soldiers that I know that are on the ground fighting the war. Also, according to my two friends are the Ukrainians and have been really like educating me, and I've done my research since Zelensky's in power, and this shit is crazy. It's oligarchs for real. It's all corrupt. I mean, for instance, I heard a story of I work in human services, and I work in nonprofit for kids, and the way the nonprofit works in America, you know, you have oversights on nonprofits. New York State, Children and Family Services, OPWDD, programs like that have oversights for group homes and institutions for orphans, foster kids, and so forth. Not in Ukraine. The head guy or the head miss director gets all the funds, and the kids get nothing. Kids get scraps after the top people receive the funds, and they will do ploys like they're to different organizations in our country, and do some saying that they're these kids are in desperate need, and it's true, but once they get the funds, they allocate them for themselves and not for the children that are there. That's one instance I heard about corruption goes on in Ukraine. So I am, it's concerning for me, at a time, but that's not my country. I don't know if people are fighting to straighten that shit out. Are you fighting for your just to get a seat at the table, or are you fighting for your countryside and are you fighting? I don't know, man. If things popped off in our country, I know we're we have a lot of patriotism in our country. I'm somebody invading our country, anywhere I can help fight, I want to be that guy, you know what I mean? Though I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm, I don't know where they place guys like us, militiamen. But, it's interesting to me to find out more on why even Ukrainians say that their own country is corrupt. And we've been this subject has been coming up quite often for me in the last couple weeks. So I want to play a couple clips here on the corruption in Ukraine and what's going on right now in their country, and why is this such a why some of these guys are draft dodging, and why do these guys don't want to fight? Some guys are trying to flee into Poland, flee into other countries, Moldova, and not want to be a part of it. I seen some real scams going on even here, man, but the healing and the fixing's got to start someplace, somewhere, and I wonder where that starts for Ukrainians. Our people in the United States are struggling, but they have an open heart. Right now, Trump is coming. Trump is coming, y'all. You Ukrainians think he's down with Putin. Y'all about to feel it real good. Y'all about to whatever funding that Zelensky been getting is about to get cut. Trump ain't interested in helping you guys. And there's a lot of Americans that feel the same way. You know, a lot of Americans feel like they don't want to help you guys. Why is that though? Because this corruption thing keep coming up? I don't know. Did I get played? I raised almost $50,000, you know? And I feel like where to go to, you know, to better anything going on right now. I know there's one school I'm super, happy about that's thriving, and but I wonder where they're getting, if they're getting help. When I left there, they weren't at the time. But all right, here let's look onto this. Oh, Kudva. Okay, time out, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're probably hearing it yourselves, but I am not right now. Oh, okay, I know why. Yeah, so right now we're gonna look into this video about why Ukrainian men are draft dodging. Unfortunately, that's what's going on. A lot of these guys are not participating in the war. They don't want to participate in the war. And they're trying to escape Ukraine as fast as they can. So this is just this is actually real recent. So let's look into what's going on.
On Ukraine's southern border, security is being tightened. Not to keep its enemies out, but to keep its own men in. Since the start of Russia's invasion, it's been illegal for men who can fight to leave, but thousands are trying. Some helped by corrupt officials.
Цинізм та хабарництво у час війни – це державна зрада.
We've been given exclusive access to the border forces in Ukraine and Moldova.
Були випадки постійних спроб перетину кордону.
We meet some of the men, risking it all to leave.
Все ж воины. Не надо же всю страну тогда держать в заперти.
And those trying to stop them.
Якщо всі, скажімо так, в один прекрасний момент виїдуть з території країни, хто буде з України захищати?
We investigate how many are escaping and why they don't want to fight.
Yeah, real shit right here.
It's the start of the daily patrol along Ukraine's border with Romania.
These guys are really
з тими подіями, що зараз відбуваються.
Scary, bro.
Без надійного захисту кордону, не може існувати взагалі держава. Чую.
Vladislav is a 22-year-old lieutenant in Ukraine's border service.
Місто Тяче, околиця його, де проходить державний кордон з Республікою Румунія по річковій ділянці.
The border runs mostly along a river and a mountain range, making it difficult to protect.
Я вам скажу, що до моменту війни обстановка була цілком спокійна. Відбулись певні погіршення, обстановка стала динамічною. Були випадки постійних
For those guys just coming in on my show, welcome guys. You guys can tune in to the culture. That's where I'll be at. Theculture.com, the culture with Jabes Prado on my YouTube channel. So please tune in. Well, right now we're watching videos on Gaza and we're watching videos on Ukrainian corruption and
It's illegal for
draft
men
dodging.
under 60 to leave without a valid exemption from military service. Those caught trying to do so face up to 8 years in jail.
А що от ви, як прикордонник, особисто думаєте про тих людей, які намагаються нелегально перетнути кордон?
Ну, я думаю, кожна людина приймає своє рішення, має свій погляд, свою думку. Хтось іде захищати батьківщину, хтось того не може, робить це інакшим способом, хтось вдається до втечі. Не знаю, що вам сказати з цього приводу. Тут не можу судити, людей.
Since the start of the war, over 4,000 men have been stopped trying to cross into Romania. Elsewhere, the numbers are higher.
Kulture have done an absolute...
Ion, electrified, Hanguk Tire.
Polițiștii de frontieră au reținut 2 tineri ucraineni care au trecut în mod fraudulos frontiera din Ucraina în Republica Moldova.
Dacă ne uităm în dreapta mea, nemijlocit este frontiera de stat cu Ucraina care trece pe uscat.
Dinu is a senior officer with the Moldovan Border Police.
Este un sector de risc, deoarece atât din partea Republicii Moldova cât și din partea Ucrainei nu este în întregime amenajat genistic ce ar împiedica trecerile ilegale de către cetățenii ucraineni.
On average, 20 Ukrainian men a day are making it out over this 1,200-kilometre border. This man has just been found and taken to the local border police station.
Я еду к своей жене и 2 детям в Англию.
Yevgeny is 37 and a construction worker from Kyiv. It's been 6 months since he saw his family.
Вот мои хлопчики и моя жена.
Это в Англии?
Да.
He says he left because he was struggling to survive.
А цены растут, как бы, и кушать хочется, работать надо, и работы столько нету, все работает на войну.
Yevgeny says he's avoided the draft. Men like him with no fighting experience haven't been called up yet.
В первую очередь пошли там те, что служили, и пошло-поехало. А мы, которые не служили, все просто ждем своего времени. Если нагнетать будет ситуация сильнее, всех уже и косых, и хромых будут брать.
Люди говорят, что это предательство, это...
Я не согласен, все же воины. Не надо же всю страну тогда держать в заперти.
We got it good, man. Americans got it good.
Подумал, что в Польшу, там много людей, там сильнее границу охраняют, упорней. А тут ниже, подумал,
Americans got it real good, y'all.
Охраняют и слабее, думаю.
We got it good. Sad.
Most men, like Yevgeny, attempt the journey at night. A thermal camera is used to spot them.
Sectorul este împădurit și riscul de a ajunge la frontiera de stat și de a fi nevăzuți de către patrulele serviciu granicer e foarte sporit.
In this recent footage, the men seem to know how to dodge the border patrols.
Informațiile date discutând cu alți refugiați, ei le obțineau prin diferite grupe de Telegram, unde lor în schimbul a unor sume care valorau între 2.000-3.000 de dolari, le ofereau informațiile unde și când se poate de traversat frontiera.
Yeah, so
Ukraine's border with Moldova has become the most popular illegal way out. Since the war,
Wow.
over 11,000 men have used this route.
Wow. 11,000. And it's still going. They hoping Trump
Sneaking
stop this
across
war.
the border is not the only way to escape the war. With the right
How else?
paperwork, you can get an exemption from military service. We heard that some men are paying substantial bribes to get their hands on these documents.
Wow.
To find out how this works, we asked a local journalist to pretend to be a man who wants to leave.
I got my cover story. My name is Andrei, I'm 29 years old, and I'm looking to leave Ukraine as soon as possible. I want to see and visit my family in Germany.
Wow. Yeah. So I wonder how much they're paying and how these families getting this money. Get them out.
A quick search reveals at least 6 groups offering help on the messaging app Telegram.
Oh, Telegram.
They have a lot of reviews from other people who leave the country with their services. So I'm just going to write to them.
Oh, wow. That fast, too. I'm sure they're quick.
They immediately send you all their options how to leave the country.
One of the most popular is a medical exemption, known as a white ticket.
It means that they can write there that I have some disease or some medical problems. And I cannot serve in the army until the end of my life. And also with this document you can leave the country and come back anytime.
Wow.
Officials at these centers
check
work
out my show,
closely with
guys.
military
We're watching
doctors
right now
to
some,
decide who can
Ukrainian,
get a medical exemption.
Ukrainian videos
They
on
send me an
corruption
example
and
of
more,
this white
what's going
ticket.
on with this
For
war.
me, this document looks real.
Wow.
Probably they know somebody at that office. So this is corruption.
$4,300 USD, baby. 2,600 in advance, the rest after purpose. Oh, they getting it. They getting it, bro. I had some Polish friends saying that even like they've been to Western Union here in Poland, in Warsaw, and Ukrainian men
Corrupt
and
officials
women
are also
like
demanding higher
buckets of
bribes.
cash flows of
They are
zlotys
more
and
worried
buckets
this
of
is
USD.
a dangerous job for them.
And at Western Union, where did he get this stuff from?
In those groups, there is quite a lot of men.
They
who
mad
want
down
leave.
low, bro.
So I think this business is quite busy.
Quite busy.
Recently, the
Quite
government
busy
tried
it
to crack
is.
down on this booming business.
They getting money from their
by
own
sacking
people,
those
bro.
in charge of military recruitment.
They're probably a government person. Obviously, it's a government person that knows government, that has government documents and giving them out. Let's see. Yeah, kurva.
Since the start of the war, nearly 7,000 men have been arrested for using fraudulent paperwork, including white tickets.
Yup, I believe it. I believe it.
But men who are
They
sick
for real
or
getting this
disabled
money.
say getting an exemption through the official channels is easy. In a refugee center
Sure
in
it isn't
Moldova,
easy.
we meet Eric, who has arrived on foot from Ukraine.
Да просто посмотрел по карте, где что можно, слышал, что может пойти, и рискнул, попробовал, получилось.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of them trying to get out of this, y'all. They don't want to fight this war, man.
Стояли за 20 километров до Харькова войска русские, и косо стреляли, и, в общем, в мой дом так случилось попали.
Wow.
But Eric says his troubles began sometime before, when he became critically ill.
И до войны у меня были операции. С желудком у меня там тяжелая операция, перитонит. Вот, и официально как бы я коллег.
Eric says he wouldn't survive in the army. When the war broke out, he desperately tried to apply for a white ticket, but wasn't successful.
Уже тоже говорили, давай, потому что я
Wow.
пытался полгода оформить документы со своей
Someone
болезнью,
that really
но
needs it couldn't
никто
get
не
it.
давал этого сделать. И вот как-то уже...
Wow, bro. Yup. That's crazy, yo. We are so lucky in our country, bro. We are so lucky. I hope this gives people perspective of how lucky we are.
Fearful of the call-up, he says music helped him to cope.
Это то, что меня успокаивало, то, что давало вспомнить, кто я.
Crazy. Catch me again, y'all. I'm
Чтобы не
out.
думать о том, что с тобой происходит
Doing this
сейчас.
show
Ты
here, and I
начинаешь,
hope
твой
you
мозг начинает
guys
искать
come see
где-то,
me
за
on
что
the
зацепиться.
culture with
Где
Jabes
бы найти
Prado
островок такого
YouTube channel.
спокойствия.
Come see what all the fuss is about. See you guys soon. Peace.
He's hoping to go to the US, where his family is.
Да, вот эта война, конечно, все поменяла, всех нас раскидала по краям мира.
Later, guys.
У меня жена и дочке 4 годика, сейчас будет вот в октябре. Я свою семью уже полгода не вижу, уже больше, уже 211 дней я каждый день считаю.
"400 kilometers away in southern Ukraine, Vladislav is back on shift on the banks of the Tisa River.
Наскільки вона небезпечна?
Доволі небезпечно. Це коли падають дощі в горах, в гірській місцевості, то вона зараз
Yeah,
може
man.
піднятися до
You know,
вечора.
it's sad. That's part of life right now. This is what's going on.
Поступово
You
піднімається,
know,
підмиває.
like these dudes are.
Того року рівень
And-
води піднявся майже до споруди
I
металевої
haven't heard
споруди
no
цього
real
мосту.
like. Honestly,
Crossing it is one of the most popular ways out of Ukraine. But smugglers don't always warn people about how dangerous it is.
Їхня домовленість одразу починається з того, що вони людину вводять в оману. Адже вони кажуть, що там все нормально. Коли вже майже виходять до десятків метрів до кордону, вони кидають людину, вдаються до втечі.
That's how it goes.
Wiemy, co robić, by zachowały świeżość i najlepszy smak. Mrozimy je tuż po zbiorach. A ty wiesz, co z nimi zrobić?
Może zapiekankę?
Warzywa Frosty. Jest pyszna.
All right, finish paying these bills.
Smaczna i prosta.
Smaczne i potra. Yeah, bro, these guys are gonna be.
These men were caught trying to swim across.
Wow.
95% дякують, що не дали їм здійснити цей перетин у зв'язку з тим, що вони бачать цю річку, а тільки потім, після вже затримання, коли людина заспокоюється, вона усвідомлює, які би могли б бути наслідки.
Since February last year, 19 bodies have been recovered here.
Wow.
It isn't known how many people have died trying to leave Ukraine.
Wow. Bodies are being
In Moldova,
being recovered.
Yevgeny
Little,
is being
you know, it could be
escorted to the
dirty,
nearest
foul play
immigration
too.
center.
These guys are being brought out to the woods, to the border, and trying to escape the war, and then being taken out. So you never know how that's working.
Ukrainian men running from the war have the right to claim asylum in neighboring countries.
They have the right to claim for the war, but that doesn't mean they have the right to I don't know, man. If you're healthy and you don't want to fight for your community, that's where I have a problem. If your community is being invaded, fight.
Next,
Let's
he
move
will
on,
need to
guys.
go to the capital to proceed
There's a
with
lot
his
of these
asylum
guys
claim.
that are. That's just part of the corruption that is going on in Ukraine. So we're moving on. They get arrested, they get brought back, 8 years in prison.
Я сейчас занимаюсь
To
инсталлом, но я пытаюсь...
8 years in prison is what they get.
Там микрофончик лежить. He acknowledged there is corruption in the issuing of exemption papers.
Держава усвідомлює, і ми, як представники
Listen to
влади,
this guy.
усвідомлюємо,
Let's listen to
що
this
це
guy.
явище не поодиноке, що воно має достатньо велике поширення, розповсюдження. На превеликий жаль, ще раз підкреслюю, корупція, вона дуже має таку велику живучість, і викорінити її дуже непросто. Але ми робимо все можливе для того, щоб кількість таких корупційних проявів
Yeah, because you guys don't...
He says the number of men leaving is having no impact on the war effort.
Ви знаєте, я переконаний, що рівень оцієї моральної стійкості і готовності відстоювати свою незалежність, суверенітет, свою свободу у громадян України, ну, це 95-99%.
Is that a lie, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. People, please, if you see something that you're questioning and I'm missing,
сфери безпеки і оборони України.
Speak
Тому
on
що,
it, please.
ви знаєте, відкрита інформація
Because...
до повномасштабного вторгнення українські збройні сили нараховували там 250-260 тисяч чоловік. Зараз після оголошення загальної мобілізації їх значно більше. І питання того...
From what I'm hearing, that's not the way it goes. From what I'm hearing is these guys are being rounded up in their hometowns, fighting age. If they can fight and they're healthy enough to fight, they are being rounded up and being taken to fight in the front lines without experience. And you know, shit, and let alone that they go to Moldova, if they go to Romania, Moldova, Poland, they're not thriving. Sometimes they in a spot where they feel like they want to go back home, you know, because they're not making any money or they're not making any changes here or wherever they move out from the war. They find out that it's even harder in other places, especially when you don't speak the language. Oh, Lord, you know, the shit that happens out here in life, you know. Let's check out this other one, which I thought it was interesting, and we can watch a little bit. It gives you a little bit more in-depth look into the corruption of what is Ukraine, and why it's so corrupt, and why there's men that don't want to go fight for this country, for the oligarchs that are there. I'm not saying Ukrainians don't have patriotism, but at the same time, y'all need to clean out your closet. Y'all need to call out your leaders. Y'all need to start figuring out inside Ukraine what is the problem. You know? And that's how it got to go. So let's look into this one over here and see. This is called the Enduring Battle. This is only a year old, folks. This is only a year old. The other war, they call it.
Ukraine is in the second year of its fight against Russia's invasion. But there's another war Ukraine has been fighting for much longer. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine has been struggling with an internal enemy, corruption. This year, the country has seen several high-profile investigations. In the latest, the chair of the Supreme Court was arrested for allegedly taking a $2.7 million bribe.
І найбільше викриття найвищої посадової особи в судовій гілці влади.
And corruption at all levels has huge implications for Ukraine's future.
If we do have problems with corruption, it will directly affect our military efforts.
Before the war, that was the main concern of Ukrainians.
Ukraine is the most open and transparent corrupt country in the world.
Wow.
Ukrainian people have long been demanding
Wow.
anti-corruption measures, and stamping out graft is a key demand for the EU if Ukraine is ever to achieve its aim of joining the bloc. So is Ukraine winning its fight against corruption?
Codziennie świeżej, codziennie taniej. W moich delikatesach centrum. Od czwartku do...
To understand the problem, we need to look back at Ukraine's history. It used to be part of the Soviet Union, until the states signed an agreement dissolving the communist state in 1991. The ensuing chaotic transition to a free market system provided fertile ground for corruption. Officials who had made it into positions of power were stealing money and selling public property all over the country, and especially in the East. Over the following years, corruption became a part of everyday life. In 2014, when huge protests swept Ukraine, ultimately toppling the government, one of the protesters' major demands was for the future government to fight corruption.
Before the war, that was the main concern of Ukrainians, probably something that would have brought most of the headlines to whatever's happening in the government.
Right.
Pledges to fight corruption helped sweep Volodymyr Zelensky to power in 2019. He had even starred in a political comedy show about a teacher speaking out against corruption and becoming president, before fiction became reality. So how are those pledges going? Right now, there are two main ingredients Ukraine is using to fight corruption. The first is punishing the perpetrators. Ukraine has its own anti-corruption agency, which investigates high-profile cases, and it tries to get them in front of a court. It's responsible for most high-profile investigations, including the ones we showed you at the beginning.
During the last year, even though we had a full-fledged invasion
Did you know?
happening,
Did I
for
know?
example, high anti-corruption
Before
court,
U.S. is
Ukraine
giving them
managed
all
to
this
still
money,
work and produce,
did you know
verdicts,
that all this
and we talk about
bullshit is
high
going on?
officials
And they were throwing out
In order
hundreds
to
of our
punish
dollars.
perpetrators effectively, the justice
That was our
system
money
itself
that they
must be
got in
free of
there.
corruption. Ukraine has made efforts to remove corrupt judges and drafted
Wow.
in foreign experts to help oversee the appointment of new ones, mostly via the High Council of Justice.
Right
Look at
now,
that.
we've been selecting the people who would be selecting the judges, because the problem there is, in order to have the trust in the final selection, you have to trust people who select them. So yeah, we're going at length.
You
to
gotta
ensure
select
that
the
people who are making
selectors.
decisions
Oh my
are
God,
trusted by
dude.
the society.
Getting
You gotta
independent
select
judges
the
in place is
selectors.
also a continuation of Ukraine's constitutional court.
That shit
The
is
EU
crazy,
expects
bro.
Ukraine to reform the court
Yeah,
before it
check
can
the
join,
checkers,
but
'cause you don't even know
proposed
the
changes
checkers
to
is
the court are
straight.
controversial.
Now the political authorities, they
Check the
control
checkers, 'cause you don't know if the checkers are
control
good.
5 judges of the Constitutional
Crazy.
Court, and there are still 5 more vacancies. So what they try to do is they try to
Check the checkers, 'cause you don't
make
know
it
if
in
the
a way that they will be
Check
able
the
to
checkers, 'cause
put
you don't
another
know if the
5
checkers are good.
politically loyal judges of the Constitutional Court. Constitutional Court being
Crazy.
totally controlled, because there are only 18
Check the checkers.
judges in the Constitutional Court, so they will control 10.
'Cause you don't know
Observers
if the
say
checkers
this
are
represents a
good or
huge
not.
setback, especially as the Constitutional Court will be very influential after the war
Lord
with
have
Russia,
mercy on
when
us.
Ukraine
Wow, it's
needs to
crazy.
reorder itself. The other
Chill,
main
chill, chill.
tactic to reduce corruption is reducing opportunities for corruption. That usually means aiming for transparency throughout the economic system. Ukraine has made headway here in recent years.
There is a transparent, digital system where everybody can check what projects are financed, who does those projects, have the pictures and videos of how the process is ongoing, etc., etc., etc. So I think what is good about Ukraine is that we are an advanced IT country, and IT solutions can make the space for corruption much smaller, because you can have a lot of information available for people to look at, available for analysis by the IT tools, available for you to see and watch and control.
With not only investigators but all citizens having access to data showing who owns what asset or who gets which government contract, corruption is much easier to detect. This website, for example, shows how government contracts are awarded to companies with amounts and company names clearly visible.
Ukraine is the most open and transparent corrupt country in the world. We have democracy, we have lots of investigative journalism and so on and so forth, very strong anti-corruption NGOs. Whenever something happens, the people get aware.
So all these headlines about Ukrainian corruption might actually be a good thing, because corruption is actually being spotted and publicly discussed. Polls show Ukrainians want the fight against corruption to continue even during the war. In fact, it might be too late after the war ends.
The whole war situation and security concerns make
Best
it
time to do it is now.
to do any
War is
sensible
major corruption
reform.
in war.
But
a lot of money to
I
be
think
made in
there's
war.
still understanding that we cannot wait until the end of the war. We don't know how long will it last.
The Ukrainian government is also trying to ready the country for EU membership. And most of the EU's demands for reform are also geared towards minimizing corruption. Many Ukrainians welcome this additional pressure on the Ukrainian government.
Oh, we Ukrainians don't trust our government. We like to control our government. We like to argue. We like to challenge the government. I mean, this is not a question of, we love our government and let them do what they want. I think it's the constant situation of the civil society asking questions and trying to get the right answers.
While Ukrainian soldiers are trying to push back Russian forces in the east, reforming the justice system might seem like a fringe concern. Some worry that highlighting corruption could play into Russia's hands to depict Ukraine as an undemocratic country. But experts also say waiting to reform the country after the war is not an option.
I'm worried about it because during the war and immediately after the war, the authorities concentrate the power, which is obvious. However, after the war, it would be the courts and the constitutional court that would be the I would say the main player in this check and balances system.
Important steps in reforming Ukraine's justice system are expected this year, when new judges will take their place in the court system, from the local courts up
this year,
to
2025.
the Constitutional Court.
Just starting to get cleaned up. They're not even sure if it's going to happen.
The level of transparency and all other issues that we want to strive to as a European nation, and for that to be true, to get to the victory day as strong as it possible, we need to obviously address any issues related to corruption and understand that victory is not only a victory on the battlefield for Ukraine.
Exactly. Well, I wish them 100% luck. So it's really the people suffering as always. The story of Taw's time, man. And this corruption has been going on in their country for such a long time, folks, that it's going to be not an easy thing to fix right away. You know what I'm saying for them? It's just
one of the most corrupt countries in the world. These were the words of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban last December around the time of Ukraine's EU accession.
Right there.
Interesting choice of words, considering Hungary is perceived as having the worst public sector corruption record in the European Union, according to a report published by Transparency International in January 2020.
Victor Orban
Since
is
the start
not
of the
getting
full-scale invasion, some American
Victor
politicians
Orban
have also claimed
wants
we have
a
no
piece of the pie too. So he's not getting some of it. So of course he's going to talk shit.
Deserve to know where their money is going and how it's being spent.
Never mind the fact there has been no proof the billions of dollars that have helped Ukraine survive and fight through these past 2 years have disappeared in some corrupt scheme. But I'm not here today to prove whether or not Hungary is more corrupt than Ukraine, or to debunk every baseless claim made by Ukraine haters around the world that feeds right into the hands of Russian propaganda that would have you believe Ukraine is some bastion of corruption. I'm also not here to try to prove that corruption doesn't exist in Ukraine. It does, unfortunately. My name is Lillian Bivings. I'm the business editor with the Kyiv Independent, and I'm here to do some explaining on corruption in Ukraine as part of our video explainer series. For more, make sure you subscribe.
Please subscribe to the podcast show, The Kulture with Jabes Prado. We do shows every week. We bring you the latest in news, in war, and in corruption, and in crime, and also in fun, food, entertainment, travel tips.
I'm going to give you a little history lesson a bit
right
later
now
in
we
this
are
video.
talking about
Before I do, let's get some facts out
Ukrainian,
there. Ukraine does struggle with corruption. Despite the progress it has made following the Euromaidan revolution that sought to rid the country of Russian influence and break free of a system run by oligarchs and their empires, it is still considered the second most corrupt country in Europe after Russia, according to Transparency International. But here's the thing. As someone very wise once said, the reason you know so much about corruption in Ukraine is because no one talks about corruption in Ukraine more than Ukrainians. In fact, Ukrainians consider corruption the country's second most serious problem after the Russian invasion, according to a poll conducted by the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology in 2023. And even now, during the full-scale war, with everything else they have to deal with,
wonder why guys don't want to
Ukrainians have
fight.
fought on the domestic front too, to expose and stand up to corruption happening right now, right here. Yuri Nikolov, a Ukrainian journalist, broke stories about the Ukrainian Defense Ministry paying inflated prices for supplies.
Now I get it.
46 cents for eggs that should have cost 5 cents. $86 for winter coats that were worth just 29 bucks. Following the news, Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov was fired and replaced. Nikolov is just one of the examples of Ukrainian journalists who have been working to expose corruption in Ukraine. In exposing corruption in Ukraine, Ukrainians aren't just pushing their sometimes reluctant officials and society to change. They are showing the world that Ukraine is a free, democratic society that is working to change itself for the better. Russia and its propagandists around the world would have you think that Ukraine is a failed state, run over by corruption and apparently Nazis? Again, no one serious would try to tell you that corruption isn't a problem in Ukraine. But in discussing corruption in Ukraine, we need a bit of context. Let's get into it.
Well, we know what corruption is in the world, people.
But before we get into the history of why corruption has been so pervasive in Ukraine and the larger post-Soviet space, let's get some definitions on the table. First, what does the word corruption even mean? And what forms does it take? And what are we actually talking about when we say a place or institution is corrupt? Corruption is dishonest or criminal behavior, usually committed by people or organizations that have a position of power. At the same time, there was a rush to create a market economy and privatize. As Ukraine's economy struggled and salaries were very low, especially for workers in certain industries such as teachers and doctors, people often found their way around their lack of income to have a proper standard of living.
We had to go to extremes because our children are barely surviving.
Sometimes this has meant informal work on the side, but in other cases, it has meant taking bribes to supplement their income of the Ukrainian people to rid their country of corruption. The Orange Revolution in 2004, initially sparked by reports that the presidential elections had been rigged, grew into a full-fledged revolution in response to widespread corruption, slow economic growth, and the desire to build a more European country. Civil society's quick reaction to the fraudulent elections resulted in a victorious revolution and was seen as one of the early political awakenings in Ukraine. In the words of Ukrainian author Oksana Zabushko, voting for Yushchenko was not simply Ukraine's European choice, but its chance to slay the Ukrainian part of that old, corrupt Soviet-era dragon. Then, in 2013, came the Euromaidan revolution, the event credited with being the single most consequential event in Ukraine's modern history. Protests began in November 2013 after then-President Viktor Yanukovych, a notoriously corrupt political figure, refused to sign the long-awaited association agreement with the European Union, shortly thereafter receiving a loan from the Kremlin.
I remember this guy.
The protests would turn into a revolution that lasted until February 2014, ending with Yanukovych fleeing to Russia. More than 100 people, who are now known as the Heavenly 100, were murdered while standing up to tyranny. Started as a response to a government decision, turned into a revolution that stood up to widespread corruption, police violence, and abuse of power by Yanukovych and his allies. What followed the revolution was a series of economic, institutional, and political reforms aimed at bringing the country closer to the European Union and farther from its past and history with corruption. Among the various reforms were changes to the police, a famously corrupt institution in Ukraine in the past, the creation of an asset declaration system for public officials, and an electronic procurement platform called ProZorro.
Ukraine's online procurement system ProZorro helped save over
Anti-corruption court. Since then, Ukraine in the hopes of changing the country for the better, even now, during a full-scale war. So why did I feel the need to tell you about all of this? So that you'll think twice when you hear these sweeping generalizations that Ukraine is the most corrupt country in the world. Or even worse, that because there's corruption in Ukraine, the country doesn't deserve help fighting off its vicious neighbor that has come to destroy it. Yes, there are problems with corruption in Ukraine. But Ukrainian society is young, still developing, still working things out. Old habits die hard.
They're still working things out. Oh my God. They're still working. Great. I can't believe. Now after I saw that, that was something I believe is a propaganda video that my boy tells me about, which there's a lot of propaganda shit going on to soften the fact that there's corruption and extreme corruption in this country. Extreme corruption, guys. I mean, to the extreme. The shit has got to be extreme. There's extreme corruption like no other. And that video right there, she even said it, Kiev Independent. We don't want to make it, yes, it's really bad, but we're trying to soften it up for you, basically, and we're working on it. Ukraine is really young, blah, 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 blah. The new government fresh. Nyet. Zelensky and his boys are getting the piece of the pie and still screwing over the people. And we on a string. The Americans are on a string. I think there's been a serious issue going on, with this corruption thing. And Americans just played right to it. We played right into it. More and more, I feel like we've been played. Honestly, like, more and more, I see, like, we got caught up in the rope with Biden's bullshit because he hates Putin. And, I tell all my friends, I grew up in a Slavic neighborhood. I got all kinds of friends, man. I got all kinds of friends. I got Russian friends, I got Polish friends, I got Ukrainian friends, I got Jewish friends, I got Muslim friends, I got dudes from Palestine, I got dudes from Pakistan. Like, I got enlargement of territory of friends. But one thing about the people that I mess with and all these friends from all these ethnicities, that we're all open-minded. And we know what peace looks like. Oh my God. How much energy did that take to talk about corruption in Ukraine? I needed to understand it because I spent so much time in trying to come up with a plan to go there and to help kids. And am I going to be fighting a losing battle trying to get, how the hell can I help children in Ukraine and trust some type of nonprofit where they're not sticking things in their own pocket? That's the question for me. That's the question for me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough with the war on Gaza, the Zionist movement today. We've spoken about draft dodging with Ukrainian men and one of the main reasons why they don't want to fight this war, which I don't blame them because of the corruption in that country, and I see why. I wouldn't want to fight for a country, I would want to run too if I know that I ain't fighting from, nothing that I fight for is going to get back to me or my community or my family. So it's crazy, bro. Crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, pretty soon, in the next couple of days, you will be out or away. They will come up with a judgment for TikTok. TikTok is on the grill. will TikTok be cooked? I don't use TikTok. I push YouTube channel, but I recently did make an account so I can go live, and just wanted to see what all the fuss is about. But I could care less. I need one channel, one place where I could just throw it out everywhere, and eventually people will see it. You know, I make some shorts. I keep going that way, and yeah. So TikTok is gonna be gone. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people make money with TikTok. And it's good for them. You know, maybe one day I can make money with TikTok. Who knows? Who knows? But America, I'm in Poland. So TikTok can leave in Poland for nothing. I tell you that. I don't think so. I don't think Poland is making any moves to remove TikTok. But I know in America, they're paranoid. And for good reason. We don't know what the Chinese are doing with all our information, the way they gather information for their people. But a lot of people make money with TikTok here in the States, millions of dollars, millions of views, things like that. So let's look into what the fuss is all about for a little bit. Even though, like I said, I don't use TikTok, but I got friends that do, and they make good money off of it, or, you know, they got big followings. So let's see what the fuss is about.
We're just going to TikTok's other app.
Tonight, amid fear a TikTok ban could take effect later this week, some Americans flocking to Chinese apps like Red Note.
I'm a TikTok refugee.
And Lemonade.
Hello, Lemonade. This is my first video.
Both apps have similarities to TikTok, and Lemonade shares a parent company, ByteDance. The platform's topping Apple's downloads.
We're doing this to spite our own government.
Some say it's a form of protest.
By going to an app like Red Note, they're saying, no, I am in control of where I give my data.
Some users even protesting American-owned Meta.
You will not catch me on Instagram Reels.
The law that could ban TikTok largely focuses on U.S. government concerns that China could manipulate content Americans see or steal user data. TikTok denies this.
Serious, though,
TikTok's
bro.
parent company, ByteDance, is explicitly named in the law. Users, for now, assuming the government isn't prepared to also block other apps like Red Note, but they could eventually be impacted because of their Chinese ownership. ByteDance could sell TikTok to an American owner. Today, questions swirling if Elon Musk is in the mix to buy it after Bloomberg reported Chinese officials have discussed that, according to people familiar with the matter. TikTok tells NBC News that's pure fiction. Savannah Sellers, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us.
There you go, fuckers. I mean, guys. Oh, that's the first time I cursed. Oh, didn't mean to curse like that, Mom. Sorry. Don't yell at me when I get off camera and you read the show. Don't scream at me, Mom, because I have potty mouth sometimes. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes I get potty mouth. Oh, a potty mouth story that I got for you guys. One time, my Aunt Zoraida, every time I see her, I tell her I got PTSD from this stuff. Because, like, I said, like, a curse word and she spazzed. I think I had to be, like, 6. She snatched me up so quick, ran me from the living room to the damn bathtub in the bathroom, which is through the whole kitchen. Ran the tub water, took a bar of Ivory soap and wish-wash in my mouth. And then put my mouth underneath the water just to rinse it out. But that was the nastiest thing. This is why I probably always like spaz out about me swearing and stuff, because I got PTSD about cursing. I always think about my aunt after that. She washed my mouth out with soap, and I try not to curse, so I don't have any darn issues with swearing on camera or around the conversation. Let somebody tick me off, and then I'm gonna have to do a swear or two, just so people know I'm serious. Sometimes you just gotta let somebody have it. And I ain't afraid to let them have it. Kurwa mać. That's a Polish culture word. But in America, she don't know that. Kurwa. I can say kurwa all the time now, and she don't know what I'm talking about. I might let the cat out of the bag now, but nobody explain. Please don't leave it in the comments and explain this what word that is for her. Kurwa mać. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Next show we're gonna be doing tomorrow. I'm gonna be at Maraviska Street. That is like the strip, like it would be like the LA strip club of nightclubs in Warsaw, where all the nightclubs are, where all different types of music is. We are gonna be at a show there, at an event, speaking with the DJs and speaking with the club owners and checking out this spot. So for you guys that ever want to come and visit Warsaw, you guys are gonna get really familiar with a lot of the night locations. We're gonna be showing you a lot of places where you'll be able to sit back and enjoy and watch. I possibly gonna be going to dance on Saturday, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a 4-hour drive from where I am, north. I've been there before. It's basically where the stop is 5 hours from Warsaw north. It's going head towards the Baltic Seas, and I've done it. It was an amazing, beautiful ride, but it is a long ride. I don't want to be in a car for 4.5 hours. I'm just not into it, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a beautiful city, one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. Old, historics. You get all your little vibes from like Hogwarts, and it has that feel, like old centuries, old villages and structures and air. Like that's one thing I love about Europe and being here is there's things that have been around for centuries, guys. Stonehenge is not far. I mean, it's in. I can traveling from country to country in Europe is super easy. It's like going from state to state in the United States. So I'm excited about just traveling and going 5 hours to Germany. It's a 5-hour south to Romania, Moldova. Man, it's like hour and a half flight to Italy. You can't ask for better. You can't ask for more. You can't ask for better. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is Jabes Prado with the Kulture. I'll be seeing you guys on the next episode, and I believe we're gonna be doing the Maraviska Street tomorrow. We're gonna be talking to a couple club owners and a couple DJs, and you're gonna be seeing some of the nightlife. Thank you for your support. Please, you can find my if you'd like to donate or get sponsor the show. It's on my Facebook page. You can go ahead and find it. Scroll down on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, or the Kulture Facebook page. God bless you. It's definitely would be a blessing, and we appreciate it. That would help us with our gas. That helps us with our tickets and our travel for bringing you guys some better shows and some real good shows. My prayers go out for those families out in Israel that are waiting for the hostages to come back. I hope that they get them back quickly. I hope the ceasefire stays active and going, and they can hold this up. I also hope that this war already in Ukraine can get over with. And thank you again for tuning in. If you have any questions and answers, you can reach me on my Facebook page, on my YouTube page, or on my email address that are on either sites, on my Instagram. Love you guys. See you soon. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next show here on The Kulture with Jabes Prado. God bless you. Have a great night. Deuces. Woo, woo, woo.